hazard in Baldwin County. How officials say the Robertsdale fire started almost 2 weeks ago. Protecting the Mobile River.
The best case, closure in place is not a solution. It's pushing the problem off on someone else.
What your neighbors had to say about Alabama Power's plan to shut down the coal ash pond. Trial day 2.
I believe I witnessed a murder. I did call the police.
What witnesses to the death of George Floyd said in court today. NBC 15 News at 10 starts now. Breaking news tonight, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz is denying a New York Times report that he is being investigated for sex trafficking. Earlier today, the Times reported the Justice Department is investigating whether Gaetz had a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl and paid her to travel with him. Gaetz is denying the allegations, saying they are actually part of an extortion scheme against his family involving a former DOJ official. He said, quote, "I demand the DOJ immediately release the tapes made at their direction, which implicate their former colleague in crimes against me based on false allegations." Gaetz did not respond to our sister station for comment. He did, however, speak with Fox News' Tucker Carlson, naming David McGee, a Pensacola lawyer, as being part of that extortion attempt. Gaetz says McGee was supposed to contact his family tomorrow, securing a $4.5 million down payment for the extortion money. Earlier today, Axios reported Congressman Gaetz is considering leaving Congress to take a job with conservative news network Newsmax. Gaetz has not responded to that report.
This is a much better looking radar. It was just 3 hours ago that we saw tornado warnings, multiple tornado warnings issued for Greene County, Mississippi. So far, one confirmed report of a tornado, no damage reports, and fortunately things are quieter. Right now, Bigby, you have what is left of that rain. It's heading towards Silver Cross and St. Stephen's, and most of the rain, light rain, is in Clark County. Now tomorrow, more of us are going to see unsettled weather. Call it active weather by the afternoon. It's going to be an entirely different weather system which will start in the north, work its way to the south with a level 2 out of 5 risk of a severe thunderstorm inland, a level 1 near the coast. Notice later tonight, early tomorrow, we don't really see any weather issues. But by mid-afternoon, there could be a band of rain and thunderstorms moving from northwest to southeast, giving us a risk of severe weather, mostly straight line wind before it all moves through. I'll give you the rest of that timing in just a few minutes.
New tonight at 10, we are following 2 massive environmental stories impacting both sides of the bay. In Mobile County, Alabama Power is closing the coal ash pond at its Berry plant. And in Baldwin County, a massive debris pile has been burning for nearly 2 weeks. Our team of reporters is covering both issues tonight. We'll go to Laura Barczewski here in just a moment. But first, we start with Corey Pippin and how a pesky, smoky fire is an indirect result of Hurricane Sally.
I'm told compacted piles of mulch can cause the kind of problems seen in the Robertsdale neighborhood. Fire officials tell me this is the second time it's happened in Baldwin County, and they worry it could happen again.
The fire is still burning in this debris pit off Hubbard Road in Robertsdale, blowing smoke through neighboring homes and across to East Silver Hill Avenue for nearly 2 weeks.
You get in the car, it smells like smoke. Inside the house smells like smoke. It's almost like you've been sitting around a campfire.
This is what it looked like last week, but tonight the pile is smaller and conditions are better. Days after numerous agencies responded and dumped nearly 300,000 gallons of water.
Between the landowner and the Forestry Commission, we used heavy equipment to kind of spread the mulch out, and then fire departments were able to spray the mulch as we smoothed it out, and that got it under control, but not to the point where it wasn't going to be any inconvenience.
Baldwin County Forester Ricky Fields believes a roughly 35-foot pile of mulch from Hurricane Sally debris dumped at the private site ignited.
That mulch is going to be much more compact than, say, normal limbs and branches and trees. The warmer weather coming in, we've had some dry spells. As this debris starts drying out, it builds heat and then it just combusts.
Fields says a similar situation happened at a private dump site in Fairhope in January, but fire crews put it out in time. I'm told there are 5 private sites in the county currently storing mulch from storm debris.
These local landowners kind of stepped up and said, okay, let's set it up here. This is kind of a situation where you don't think about it until it's happened.
County solid waste officials encourage property owners to spread the mulch out as much as possible to reduce the chance of combustion. Fields agrees.
I'm certainly hopeful this is going to be our last situation, but I'm prepared to get a phone call for another pile.
I'm told local fire crews are on standby should they need to go back out to the fire. The Alabama Department of Environmental Management tells me it is monitoring the situation. In Baldwin County tonight, I'm Corey Pippin, NBC 15 News.
The Department of Environmental Management is also investigating a major issue across the bay in Mobile County. Today it heard from our neighbors regarding Alabama Power's plan to close the coal ash pond near the Berry Steam Plant. NBC 15's Laura Barczewski was at that meeting. She joins us now. Laura, where do things stand now?
Greg, Alabama Power chose to cap the coal ash pond in place, and it's now waiting for ADEM to approve or deny the permit to do that. The hearing today was one of the last steps in that permit process. Citizens and organizations say Alabama Power's plan to cap the plant-buried coal ash pond in place will be something the community will suffer the consequences of later.
In the best case, closure in place is not a solution. It's pushing the problem off on someone else, on a future generation who will ask why we didn't deal with this problem in a permanent fashion.
Spanish Fort resident and mom Lindsay Dixon says she's concerned for her family's well-being if the coal ash is not removed.
They love spending time on Mobile Bay and being in the water, and I have to consider their safety and whether that natural resource is going to be there for them.
Jennifer Benson, a supporter of Alabama Power's current plan, says it goes above and beyond what it would need to.
There is no impact or risk to neighbors, nearby waterways, or drinking water sources at this time.
Dixon says she believes a major weather event could change that.
It's not a question of if a major hurricane will hit, it's when and what the impact of that will be, and will that leak toxic chemicals into our water.
Alabama Power says coal ash removal would require 200 truckloads per day for 15 years. Benson says the risk in removal is much more severe.
The lined landfills in our state are either too close to drinking water sources to be feasible, or they are mostly located near poor or minority communities which already have a desperate lack of resources.
Another supporter of the current plan says they believe capping it in place is the best solution, while neither option is easy.
We're confident that it's sufficient to protect both public health and the environment. Consolidating the coal ash at Plant Berry, moving it in, dewatering it and closing it is sufficient. And if it wasn't, we're confident that ADEM and it wouldn't have approved this, wouldn't have allowed this permit to get this far.
The comment period will be open until April 6th for people to mail or email in comments on the plan. After the comment period ends, ADEM will make a decision whether or not to grant the permit for Alabama Power's plan. Greg?
All right, Laura, thanks. NBC 15 News has been covering the dangers of the coal ash pond for several years now. To see our award-winning coverage of this toxic ticking time bomb, head over to our website, mynbc15.com. The crime alert tonight, police are investigating a shooting on Melrose Street in Mobile. Just before 6 tonight, police found a man who had been shot there. The victim told police the gunman pulled up, got out of his car, shot him, and drove off. The victim is recovering in the hospital tonight. And it's worth noting, this scene is less than a mile away from last night's shooting that injured a 3-year-old child and a mother. She says she was raped. He says it was consensual. Those are the two stories being told at Spring Hill College. Tonight, the alleged victim, Audrey Cox, is talking with NBC 15 News about the night she says she was drugged and raped. Italian exchange student Casil Cocali has been arrested accused of rape, sodomy, and burglary. His attorney says Cocali and Cox hung out together and made plans to be with each other that night. Cox doesn't remember what happened.
I saw him one time, and I always see him out. I saw him one time at the piano bar. Hi, how are you doing? Good, how are you? And that was it. I don't remember the rest of the night at all. I woke up the next morning with a mental image of his face on top of me in my dark room. And I saw who that was. I recognized it the next morning, like I said, and I texted him.
Being sexually assaulted is probably one of the absolute most horrific things that could ever happen to somebody. But secondary to that is to be falsely accused of something like this.
Doggett says her client has already passed a lie detector test with flying colors. Cox says an arrest would not have happened had she not gone public with her story. NBC 15 News was the first to tell you about this with a breaking news text alert this morning. Make sure you download our free NBC 15 News app in the App Store and sign up for text alerts for breaking news on the go. A Robertsdale nursing home at the center of a state investigation has released a plan of action following a deadly COVID-19 outbreak there. The state's report found more than 130 residents and staff at Robertsdale Rehabilitation and Healthcare Center were infected with COVID from December to February. The report says at least 4 residents died. It ultimately said there was a lack of testing among employees. Today we obtained a copy of the healthcare center's plan to prevent this from happening again. The actions include properly informing staff members of testing. Staff members must also undergo an educational course on COVID-19 and testing procedures. They cannot work until they are tested and cleared, and residents will be tested if there is an outbreak among the staff. More than 100 vaccine shots have been wasted here in Alabama. State leaders say it's not for lack of trying. The state health department says providers have only been able to get 5 doses of vaccine when it's supposed to be 6. By comparison, the state has given out more than 1.6 million shots.
We do ask if they have wasted doses, but again, it's been a very small amount for the state health department.
But it's not required for them to say if they do.
We do, yes, we do ask for any wasted doses.
Well, the state says it has already addressed another issue, leakage. Vaccination clinics are scheduled for every day this week at the Alabama Cruise Terminal. They begin at 8 o'clock each morning. Infirmary Health is also holding a walk-in clinic tomorrow and Thursday from 8 to 10, followed by a second clinic from 1 until 3. We have the full schedules for you on our website, mynbc15.com. As long as this pandemic continues to impact our communities, we will cover every angle. We have an entire section of our website dedicated to COVID-19 news. 2 days now in the books for the trial of Derek Chauvin. After the break, hear from people who witnessed the death of George Floyd.
The state of Georgia facing heavy backlash after a state voting bill was signed into law. I'm Christine Frizzell with a closer look at what it actually does and doesn't do.
Salute to our veterans. Sponsored by Navigator Credit Union, guiding the Gulf Coast since 1939.
Tonight we honor Sergeant Augustus Womack, who served in the U.S. Army. He's from Mobile, and we thank you for your service, Sergeant Augustus Womack.